Krass. Hey, good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Agricultural Preserve Advisory Committee meeting. Today is Thursday, April 10th, 2025, and it is 9:01 a.m. So let's go ahead and have roll call, please.
Good morning. We're going to start with Sergio Ricardo,
Here.
Stephanie Stark,
Here.
David Lackey,
Here.
Royce Larson,
Here.
and Alex.
Here.
So we have a quorum.
Very good. Thank you. So before we get started about the minutes and our agenda, I'd like to open up for any public comment and on any items that are not listed on the agenda, please.
We do not have any public comment.
Very good. A closed public comment. And let's consider the minutes from our March 13th APAC hearing. We could look at those and provide any comments or suggestions or a motion.
Chair, I do have a comment. I'm not sure if this is considered public comment on item number 4 of the agenda, unapproved. So Michael Daly, Chief Deputy Assessor, was here offering comments as part of the public. I don't know if that would be considered. I don't know, maybe it's a.
Yeah.
Perfect. Okay, so then I would suggest that we change the public comment to state that Michael Daly offered some comments, some public comments.
Okay, thank you for that. And anybody else have any suggested edits or would like to make a motion?
We discussed this. I don't know. We made a comment about the item number 7, reports of committee members. Maybe it's nothing, but we, I guess, noted last month to put this item in on the agenda for April 10th. It's not on the agenda today, so I don't know if there's needs to be an amendment. I guess not.
Well, I think it was a comment that I made, so the follow-up, I can discuss that later, but yeah,
Okay.
it was stated. Yeah. What's that? I'd leave it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd leave it. I don't know if anybody else has any thoughts on that. Thank you.
So I would make a motion that we approve the minutes of March 13th as amended.
I will second.
So we'll do roll call. Sergio Ricardo,
Aye.
Stephanie Stark,
Aye.
David Lackey,
Aye.
Royce Larson,
Aye.
and then Alex.
Aye.
And then vote carries 5-0 to approve as amended.
Very good. Thank you. So let's go to our agenda management. And with that, I would like to, let's see, trail item number 4, if we could, which is the APAC Temporary Ad Hoc Subcommittee. If we could trail that to after item number 6, so it would become our new 7, and before reports of committee members, please.
I also wanted to mention that the applicant for item number 1, Morgan, let me see. She asked for a continuance.
Yes, she did. And then I had a communication with her. I saw it this morning that there will be somebody here today.
Yeah, she's here.
representing. Okay, very good. Okay. All right. Any other comments on the agenda? No? Okay. So let's go ahead and we will start with our first item, which is the Canvinia Vineyard Estate LLC, and this is item number 1, contract number 77 AP 32. And this item has come, like we'd said, I think there's a representative here, and before we speak with her, I just wanted to set this item up for the committee members, refresh everyone's memory. So this is a case where it had come back in September 12th, 2024. It was originally to consider the Canvinia Vineyard Estate LLC special events. It was a case going through the planning department. And through that process, we identified potential ongoing eligibility issues with the contract. And we, at one point, made, we had discussions with the applicant or their representative about providing potential planting areas and including a planting plan and a schedule so that they could comply with Uniform Rule 1-2.3A1, which is the agricultural production requirement. Since this is a prime contract, they would need at least 50% of the premises to be planted in commercial agriculture. And so we had discussions about what that meant and had multiple meetings. It was continued quite a few times to allow the applicant time to provide the committee with those items. And then we did vote to bifurcate the planning case from the ongoing eligibility issue. So there's currently no planner for the case, but we are still pursuing that. And we sent a letter on April 3rd to inform the applicant, as we had discussed at our last meeting in March. The committee had voted to send a notice to appear letter, which is our standard process to let the applicant know and remind them that we're going to be discussing this at our April meeting. So here we are. And I did reach out to them as well via email, and they did respond indicating they'd be here today. So with that, I know we have somebody here today. Would you like to speak to the committee, address the committee on any updates you might have on to address the issue about the agricultural production on the property?
Hi, yes, this is Morgan Grace. Can you hear me?
Yes, good morning. Thank you for coming.
Good morning. Thank you for hearing us. I'm here on behalf of the applicant and Convinia Vineyard Estate. I just would like to say thank you for your time in hearing our project, and we do apologize for our repeated request for continuance on this. The applicant is currently working on this and determining the most feasible path forward. I think as we had, and as you kind of went over, and as previous in our previous meetings on this project, and as we had discussed, there was an overproduction of wine, which created a glut of wine on this property due to their anticipated tasting room. So currently the applicant is trying to balance this surplus with the committee's request to plant additional vineyard. This is going to come at a significant cost due to the current market. So the winery is trying to balance this based on the reduction of the number of cases that they will be producing this year. So there is a balancing act going on there that the applicant is currently working on. In light of this, we are requesting that additional continuance to that May 8th agenda. I would like to say that the applicant is currently working on a planting plan for the property. And so we believe we would have something more substantial by that next agenda for your consideration. So we do just need that a bit more time to get this in for contract conformance. Thank you. I'm here for any questions, and yeah, we just appreciate your time on this.
I just want to clarify, I don't think we are saying that it has to be a vineyard that needs to be planted. We're just saying that because this contract is a prime contract, that we're asking that the maximum amount of land that can be planted in commercial production should be planted. But yeah, just to clarify that we're not asking for that portion of land to be planted in vineyard. Can be anything else, row crops, any other commercial agriculture commodity.
Okay.
That's an important distinction. Thank you, Sergio. Because, there are trends in industry, and there's definitely a downward trend right now. You see grapes being pulled out up in North County quite a bit. So we understand that, but aside from that, like Sergio had said, I wanted to just reiterate, yes, we're looking at production agriculture. And if I recall, there were certain areas specifically that we were hearing that and seeing on a map. We went through in detail with the a representative for the case, and just looking at where there could be production agriculture. But yeah, we're looking for, there are allowances made, but I think one of the discussions was, how did we come to that calculation? And that's what one of the details was about. We allow for some allowances, but what I remember hearing, and I'm just bringing this up because this seemed to be a point of contention, was when we look at a property like this, we look at the total acreage, and on this property, it's 52 acres. So we're looking at 50% of the 52 acres to be planted. So 26 acres to be planted. And then if there's fallow areas, or areas that, not fallow, but areas that are restricted or for sensitive species are there, or habitat, or too steep to be planted, or what have you, we can factor that in. But what one of the points of contention was is that there was a difference in opinion, but historically that's how we calculate it, is we look at the total acreage of the property, 50% of that, and then we calculate what the acreage is if we hear input from and demonstrated areas where it can't be planted. So just wanted to point that out as well. And it sounded like too, when I was communicating with the planner he was indicating that there was some submittal through the planning department that came through. That's what Adam Orta had said. Yeah. It wasn't,
Yes,
I don't know if
yeah.
it was a planting plan, but it was some, do you know specifically what was submitted to the planning department? And they were still doing their 30-day review.
It was in response to the planning case. So we had been
Yeah.
actively working on that in addition to conformance with the contract.
Yes. Okay. Very good. And just wanted to ask, Sergio, was this one of the, have they submitted their annual questionnaire?
Yes, thank you.
Okay.
Yeah, we did get a.
Okay, very good.
Thank you.
Okay, now that, anybody have anything else from the committee that you'd like to mention, or questions for the applicant, or, okay. Then we can discuss what direction we want to go. Okay.
Well, I mean, yeah, and thank you, Chair, for refreshing our memory of the sequence of this item since it's been, I guess, before since September of last year in various iterations. But yeah, in January of this year is when we voted to bifurcate, and we took action, showing that the request for the special events was consistent. But since that point, we've had continuances, and now we're in April, and now we're looking for another May continuance. Yeah, I mean, I think we want to be flexible and provide opportunities. I think we were at the same point in March, where that's why the committee had requested to send a notice to appear for today's meeting, to kind of impress upon the point that there needed to be some movement. But pleased at least our representative here is here today, and they've indicated that they will have something in May. So I want to I'm encouraged that that is the case, and so I guess I would be willing to continue it one more month based on the statements that they've said that they will have some information for the committee for the May meeting.
I would be okay granting the continuance. They're showing good faith, but I think for the committee, I want to mention that we do have this, is it 60-day period where if the decision is made about non-renewal, we need to have that so that it gets recorded before, I think we're looking at before October. So, meaning that we would have to make determination by, let's see, August, September, October. Yeah. Anyway, that's besides the point. I guess I'm okay granting another month continuance.
And Morgan, so what we're discussing here, just to kind of loop you in, is what David is saying is that we could potentially, we just haven't seen a lot of movement, but we're encouraged that you're here today. We're encouraged that there was a submittal through planning. And we're not sure if sounds like there is a planting plan. But from our perspective, since it's separate from the case, the ongoing eligibility, the committee's next step would be to start processes for county-initiated non-renewal. And so I agree that would be fair to do another continuance till May. But then after that, we need to think about our processes internally, back things up. When do we need to actually start making a decision, because there's a process for county-initiated non-renewal. So, and what that means is that at the end of the day, next month or next year, the contract itself, if it goes before the board approves it, then it would start the process of non-renewing that contract. And that's a 9-year process, but that is the next steps when we find that a contract is no longer meeting the eligibility requirements. So did you have any questions about that, or?
No, understood.
Okay.
Thank you for reviewing that and going over the process.
Okay, you're welcome. Any other discussions from committee members? Want to open it up for public comment as well?
We do not have any public comment.
Okay, very good. Thank you. Someone like to entertain a motion?
Yeah, I can make a motion that the committee continue this item to the May APAC meeting at the request of the owner.
Second.
And then we'll do roll call. Sergio Ricardo,
Aye.
Stephanie Stark,
Aye.
David Lackey,
Aye.
Royce Larson,
Aye.
and then Alex.
Aye.
And the vote carries 5-0.
Okay, thank you very much for attending. We appreciate it. And hopefully we will see you or another person from a representative next month in May with a map and all the items that we need.
Thank you.
All right. Bye-bye. Okay, so that takes us to item number 2. Item number 2 and 3 they're different contracts, but they are right adjacent to each other. But, I just wanted to mention that on the agenda. The first item here is for both 2 and 3. We had sent notice to appear letters on both of these. So the first one is, I'll read that into the record, is Ballard Ranch LLC. This is for contract 16 AP017. And this is for a ongoing eligibility case. It's continued from last year, July 11th, 2024. And I'm looking at here, we sent them a notice to appear letter on May 22, 2024. And that is, let me get my glasses. It's a case where we considered ongoing eligibility of the contract consisting of APN 137250068. And what we were doing was we were discussing this case because of we wanted to move forward. Getting myself confused here. It was an ongoing eligibility case. So we are now, we were asked to go ahead and continue the item one more time. And so we are here today to look at the ongoing eligibility of the parcel, this one particularly, and it was a case of, I believe, not having enough agricultural production on the property. And I know I have minutes from the previous meeting.
Yeah, I think just from the minutes and so on contract 17, I think what the issue there was that was mostly being operated or was qualifying as a principal animal boarding and breeding facility.
Mhm.
So, but they needed some additional irrigated pasture acreage. And then on contract 18, but on contract 17, they did have some planted vineyards. And they were proposing to either relocate those vines onto contract 18.
Okay,
or
yes.
plant additional acreage to meet their ag production requirements. And so
Yes,
both of the properties were somewhat obviously managed
right.
together, but they would qualify differently based on their primary ag production.
Yes, and I'm reviewing the minutes from the July 13th meeting.
Madam Chair, the way I remember, yeah, there needs to be clarification on the principal qualifying agriculture.
Yes.
These two separate contracts. They're separate, so they have to have separate primary uses. And I think that was one of the issues, that they were being used as one from what I remember. And anyway, there needs to be clarification, and both need to meet requirements separately because they're two separate contracts.
Correct. And the July 11th minutes from 2024, July 11th, 2024, for the Ballard Ranch LLC contract 16 AP 17, which is the one we're talking about right now. Yes. That one says we continued it till today's meeting to allow the applicant time to show progress in installing the additional irrigated pasture and irrigation system, and also provide an update on the relocation of the existing vineyard to be relocated to the adjacent ag preserve contract 16 AP 18. Yes. So is there a way is it possible we can pull up a map of these two properties? And is there anyone here today who is present to speak on this item?
We do not have an applicant.
Okay. And so Teresa, for a case like this, did we reach out to the landowners? Do they know it was on the agenda?
Yes, so I sent him an email, and then I also had sent him the agenda via mail.
Very good, thank you.
And did you get a response?
No.
And also just wanted to mention on this, both cases, the letters, the notice to appear letters were sent, as they always are, through certified mail. And we also asked for a signature on the return receipt requested through U.S. Postal Service. And I did get one back for contract 17. Yes.
Just to kind of add my more recent communications. So the last year, after you had sent the notices to appear, I think the owners did appear
Mm.
along with, they had at that time their land use consultant. The land use consultant is no longer with them,
Mhm.
but I was in contact with her and she was provided at least the email contacts for the owner and manager that I provided to Teresa, and so at least
Yes, okay,
that was how we reached out to the
I
owners.
see. Good. Okay. And Teresa, I think you're working on getting the map pulled up. While we're doing that, is there anyone here who'd like to speak on this item from the public?
We do not have any public comment.
Okay, close public comment. Thank you. Okay,
Where the,
It's right here.
that race, yeah, it's both of those. You might want to zoom out a little bit because they
Yeah.
go up to the north yet.
yeah, there you go.
These two.
Yes, so the one on the left there is parcel 137250068. And that one,
That's
yeah,
17 and
that's
then 8.
17. Okay, we want
18 is to the
18
west.
to the, yes,
It's a little bit to the west with the arrow. And then to the left.
So I guess,
so contract, I just want to make sure I'm clear. So the contract that we're talking about on item number 2, which is 16 AP 017, is the property that is just to the west of where it says Monty Park. Yeah, to the left of that. There you go. So it's that parcel right there.
that's the principal, well, the one that we understand to be the principal animal boarding and breeding
Yes.
qualifier.
Yeah, and then the item number 3, which we are kind of connected as we discussed, 16 AP 018 is to the west of that. Okay, and they're both single parcel contracts and they are, let's see, they're both prime contracts?
Track,
Mm-hmm. Okay,
track 17 is 51.71 acres. And contract 18 is 48.21 acres.
yes. Thank you. Okay.
They're both under the same ownership. I mean, they could, if they are having trouble, I mean, I'm not gonna offer any suggestion, but if they're having trouble meeting the requirements as 2 separate contracts, they could combine into one and become, let's see, would they go over 100 acres? Let me see.
Mm.
No, they're close.
Very
90.
close. I think they're still,
Yeah, under the,
Prime.
not, yeah, they'd both be considered prime even if they did combine the contracts.
yeah, it's a tough one.
Well,
And I know at least one of them had
Is
a
a
principal
principal
dwelling. I don't know
dwelling.
if they had principal dwellings. on
Yeah.
That might have been a,
well, and that's something we could discuss with them if they appeared, but since they're not here, I think before us is whether the committee needs to decide if we'd like to move forward with they've both been contacted. So regarding item number 2, I think the question before us is if we want to move forward with a 60-day notice of non-renewal. Uh-huh.
That would be my preference. I think
hmm
they've been properly noticed and it's been known to them that we are in discussions.
I agree with that. Any discussion from committee members or additional considerations?
Well, I'm just curious, it took more than 6 months to agendize these two items. Is there any reason we didn't do this earlier?
Well, that was part of the motion that we continued it that long. So back in July,
Okay.
we continued it to April to give them
Oh, okay. to
enough
give them
time to
plenty
come
of
up with.
time.
I
Okay.
think it was also to purchase the vines because they were going to
Yes.
purchase some additional vines so that way they could go through that process and get the contracts for those vines.
Yeah, because we were asking for, I would imagine that, I don't remember exactly, but usually something like that long would seem like something we would want, we would be requested to do that. Seems like a long time to me as well. But it's been on our long-term agenda, agenda tracking form that we've had for some time.
And David, do you remember if last year this was put on notice? Was there a notice of non-renewal? Like, was this already, was it part, I guess, I'm trying to ask is what was the decision to give them more time part of their response to a 60-day notice?
Yes, well, I think, yeah, so we sent, I forget the date of the notice.
Yeah, and we didn't send a 60-day notice yet. We just sent a note to clarify, a notice to appear letter, and that was sent on May 16th, 2024.
Okay, that's what I was.
Sounds like we asked them to attend the June 13th, 2024 meeting, informed them that we were going to talk about their project or their
Eligibility.
eligibility of their contract. And so during that meeting, June 13th, I don't know what occurred there, but definitely it was the following meeting, July 11th, where we actually said, let's allow them this amount of time to provide, these items.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, so technically they haven't received a notice of non-renewal.
No.
The 60-day notice.
No, they have not.
So that's what I would propose that we do today, so then I'll make a motion to direct the chair to send a 60-day notice of non-renewal and reschedule this item for, that would be what, the June agenda?
That's gonna be probably less than.
Yeah.
July,
Let's
by
see.
the time the letter goes out.
Yeah. Would July be
Okay.
acceptable?
July is-
Okay, we'll put that in July
10th.
10th, thank you, 2025. Let's see.
We'll circle in a year.
I second that motion.
We'll do roll call. Sergio Ricardo,
Aye.
Stephanie Stark,
Aye.
David Lackey.
Aye.
Royce Larson,
Aye.
and then Alex.
Sorry. Aye.
Will carries 5-0.
Just to clarify, your motion applies to both contracts 17 and 18, correct?
That is correct. We were discussing both
No, I think,
together? No?
I thought we were discussing both, but I would suggest we make separate
Separate.
motions. Yeah, so to back that up,
so
the first
I
one was,
want to go back to the first motion. I think I should clarify that the first motion was for contract number 16
Yes.
AP 017.
Mhm.
And then I'll make the same motion for contract number 16 AP 018.
Maybe see if there's any public comment on.
yeah, I was going to say, we haven't quite introduced that one. So let's just go ahead and make that first motion. And do we have to
Redo it?
redo our, okay, approved. Yep.
Okay. So,
Yes, exactly. Okay, so motion carried on item number 2, and I will proceed with sending a 60-day notice to the owners of contract 16, or excuse me, wherever owners or applicants. I think we send it to the owner, 16 AP 017, whatever address that's on file at the assessor's office. I always use that one. And we'll close that item. We already got public comment. So going on to item number 3, this is for contract 16 AP 018, also Ballard Ranch LLC. Some other agendas have referred to it as the winery. And this is to consider the ongoing eligibility of the contract. As we discussed is tied to item number 2 as well. Is there anyone here from the public who'd like to speak on this item today?
If you're online and wish to speak on this item, please raise your hand, or if you called in, please dial *6 to unmute yourself. We do not have any public comment.
Okay, very good. We'll close public comment. And second motion, please.
So I'll move to direct the chair to send a 60-day notice of non-renewal for contract 16 AP 018 and reschedule this item for the July 10th meeting.
I second that motion and roll call, please.
Sergio Ricardo,
Aye.
Stephanie Stark,
Aye.
David Lackey.
Aye.
Royce Larson,
Aye.
and then Alex.
Aye.
Vote carries 5-0.
Okay, very good. Thank you. So that takes us to item number 5, which is Rivera LLC, new single-family dwelling. And this is a new item for the committee to consider. And the project is for a coastal development permit to allow the deconstruction of an existing barn, the relocation of a garden shed, and then construction of a new single-family dwelling. And there's also a detached garage as well as a cold storage space and a workshop and a mechanical shed and a chicken coop, pool, hot tub. And this project is located in the First Supervisorial District. And let's see, is there anyone, let's see, there's a planner on the case, Adam Orta.
Stephanie, I did receive an email from Adam saying that this item has already been approved in March 2024, and he didn't realize that until after, just recently.
Oh, the
Um,
case was already approved.
Yes, and it'll show the minutes here of March 14, 2024, and it's the same description basically, and
Oh, it's
oh, it's not that
same
one.
ca- Oh,
It's this one.
oh, so it's not, this is not a new case. It was already considered by the committee?
Yes,
Oh,
so he was just recently assigned it, so he wasn't.
oh, so
aware.
this shouldn't even really be on the agenda
Should
today.
have not been on. the-
Oh, we should have pulled it. Okay, I see.
Just, yeah.
Oh. And what month was this? This was March.
It belonged to a different planner.
Oh, I see. We found it consistent. Okay.
That was, when was that?
That was in March
Last year.
last year. Okay,
Madam Chair?
yes.
I just want to make a comment that this, when I was reviewing the responses to the annual questionnaire, we probably weren't doing what we are doing now. This is one where the owner hasn't responded in a while. And I don't really have any information as to what the agriculture is. I guess this committee found it consistent last year, but it's not clear today to me what the agriculture is on this property.
Yes.
Can we discuss this?
That's what I was going to ask. If council, what do you advise in the situation where we have a case that sounds like it was mistakenly put on the agenda, but it was already, the committee already made a motion on this specific project, found it to be consistent with the uniform rules about a year ago. Can we even, or do we need to re-agendize this if we're going to discuss,
Going eligible.
yeah, like, you need to re-agendize it. I see.
If,
Okay,
um,
so we don't discuss it anymore.
council, if, can I just ask, were the property owners notified? Would that make a difference if they were notified that there would be discussion? what is agendized. Okay, got it. Okay, perfect. Thank you. All right. So then my suggestion would be to
Yes.
put this item on the agenda for ongoing eligibility.
You know, yes, okay. I'm just noticing, interesting, on item 5, you're correct, there is no reference. I guess when we put on new items, we don't reference ongoing eligibility? Or is this a brand new
No.
no,
Contract.
normally, yeah, it's an existing contract.
Yeah.
Should have the
It didn't,
description,
it
Yes.
didn't
and
though.
it's the same as
You're right.
ECHA, so that's an issue that we need to raise with planning
Yes.
and development, that they need to make sure that they include the ongoing eligibility
ongoing.
language in the proto or whatever they're using for the.
Well, item 6 actually does have ongoing eligibility
Is
mentioned.
it? Oh, at the
Yes.
top, yeah.
So 5 is not agendized. Well, let's strike this one from the agenda. We're not going to discuss it. And then how about we talk about, would this be the appropriate time to put that on the agenda? Do we need to make a motion to take this one off? Okay,
And then at the same time,
I make a motion to remove item number 5, Rivera LLC, new single-family dwelling, 76 AP 040 from the agenda. Is already considered at our April 10th, 2025, or sorry, what was the meeting previously?
March 14, 2024.
Yes. And then I need if we could get a second and a vote.
I will second.
Okay. Roll call, please.
Sergio Ricardo.
Aye.
Stephanie Stark.
Aye.
David Lackey.
Aye.
Royce Larson.
Aye.
And then Alex.
Aye.
And vote carries 5-0.
Okay. And then also we could make a motion to place.
Chair, before we make a motion on any other aspect, Teresa, can you call up the approved minutes for that March 2024? I just wanted to see if part of that action, we also took action to find the contract
Consistent with.
consistent at that
uniform
time. 'Cause
rules.
we may have
Yeah,
had.
We did.
At the aerials, and we may
Yeah.
have had information.
Well. are the
And
news-
certainly, I understand the issue with the
Yeah.
reporting is one issue, but
Yeah, we did say, didn't it just say meets, it said did find it, that it meets ongoing eligibility. And that's for March 14th, 2020. Yeah, so it does meet ongoing eligibility requirements.
But as far as options for trying to respond to the reporting, I don't know what other options one option is indirectly, I think what happened is this is back in for substantial conformity determination because they're changing some of the grading that's like 500 acre or 500 cubic yards different than what was approved, but that wasn't changing the project description that it needed to come back. So I think that's why it's active right now with Adam Orta, is looking at this substantial conformity determination. So there may be an option to reach out to the planner to convey the need for them to submit and provide the contact information for the need for them to submit their annual survey. I mean, that may be at least one opportunity to nudge them. If we don't get any response, then maybe there's other options. That's my thought.
yeah, it just has to do with their commercial.
Right. But I mean, I don't think we don't have a pathway right now because we've already made the determination on
But it
the
was-
project. And so I think we need to look at other alternatives.
So what do you suggest? We send a note
Reach out.
to,
Reach out to Adam or to let them know that,
that would be me, the assessor's office, send a notice to,
yeah, so,
look,
so Adam Orta is the planner on this. And then if you need me to
okay,
facilitate as well,
and then go from there.
and then go from there, give them the information that the property owners have not responded to the survey for multiple years, and that's one of their requirements. And that we need to convey that to the owner, that that's an important aspect of maintaining their contract and provide them with your contact information.
Thank you.
Okay, very good. So the next item on the agenda is the 70 AP 022. This is for Azteca Properties. So I'll set this up a little bit, but if you could chime in here, Sergio. This is one of the properties that came through while the assessor had noticed it because of a split in ownership during a lot line adjustment that had occurred. And initially, we were just going to move forward with a notice to appear letter. But as we looked into it a little bit more, we realized, oh, there's also an issue here where the contract actually consists of two parcels. There's one that's AP 117160050, and I don't know if you're able to pull this up on the screen, Teresa, this would be helpful. And that's 132.89 acres, and there's an additional 4.41 acre parcel next to that, which is 117160048. That is actually, there are two different ownerships. That 4.41 acre parcel is owned by the County of Santa Barbara, and I think flood control has some sort of ownership of that regarding a project, or I'm not sure, maybe Sergio or Alex could provide some detail on that. But because of that, we wanted it to come to the, it came to light. So we discussed Uniform Rule 6-2B, which states, it references that a situation like this, then the contract, that smaller contract would become null and void. So we just thought this is more complicated than we realized. So we wanted to bring it before the committee and decide what the path is for addressing this one.
Yeah, thank you, Madam Chair. Teresa, can you scroll up a little more on the map? So the parcels to the north of this contract, the contract is has a red boundary, so you can see the boundaries. The owners of the parcels to the north, including parcel 34 that you see, that's their lot line adjustment, which was approved approved last month by this committee. They are on their way to getting a replacement contract for that portion, including that parcel 34. But in reviewing the entire contract, like Stephanie just stated, we discovered that the old parcels, if you look at 117.160.0009 and 07, those were part of the original contract. And those two parcels are now what we call 48 and 50. You can see that 48 is just a sliver of land to the west of parcel 7. If you scroll up a little, Teresa, there you go. Parcel 7, the south, very bottom, 7 and 9. Yeah, so 7 and 9 are now 48 and 50, I believe.
Or maybe just 50, I'd say.
Or maybe 50 and,
Aerial.
50.
yeah, if you want to go to the aerial photo too. What I want to say is that when the county flood control took that portion, the assessor's office actually took that portion out of contract. So we're currently not showing it under contract. So that was, I think, already resolved.
Is that recent, excuse me, fairly recent, 10 years ago, for realignment of the ditch, the flood control?
No, I think that was a while ago, maybe more like 20 years ago.
Because I remember there was a realignment of that county-owned property maybe 10 years ago where it kind of jogs. Yes.
Yeah, they were doing a lot of those.
And
I think there's a creek.
we did acquire, I'm not sure whether it was an easement, but I know that the ditch was owned by the county in fee and should have its own separate APN there.
Right, which I believe is 48. If you're able to bring that up, Teresa, on the aerial.
Teresa, could you bring up like an aerial photo? Oh, you are, okay. Okay.
If you want the parcel number,
Yeah, it's, I think the parcel number, 117160048. It's the little sliver. There air photo available? Photo mapper? Yes, let me just see if there's anyone here who would like to speak on this item from the public.
We do not have any public comment.
Okay, close public comment.
I think it's safe to just put 48, parcel 48, 117-160-48 out of this discussion because it's already out. It doesn't need,
So we don't need to be
Owned.
considering that? Okay.
correct, it's owned by the county and it's not part of, well, technically it is.
It's
part
not,
of the
it is
original
part of the
contract.
contract. So does that need to be a process to non-renew that, or do we just,
No,
I'm
what
looking at the
suggesting
rules.
is, what I'm suggesting is we leave it out of contract since we took it out when the county took it.
Oh, so that's already occurred. It's not currently under
Uh-huh.
contract. Okay, because that's, okay, that clarifies.
Although I should clarify that taking it out was an unofficial
Oh,
thing by the assessor, not by this committee.
oh, yes, that's what I remember talking about. Okay.
Exactly. So I guess, and so this is where maybe county.
Council.
We've taken it out. The assessor's office took it out because it's owned by the county and there's no value, there's zero value. But it is part of the original contract when the contract was put together and the legal description. I provided those. We were looking at the map earlier on the screen. So it was part of the original contract, but the assessor officially took it out when the county took over. Oh, that's a good question.
It is owned in fee by the county, I know that, yes. And I don't know how it was acquired, probably
Probably a deed or a condemnation.
either eminent domain or some kind of purchase agreement.
Right, but I mean, if it was in lieu of eminent domain, that, my understanding
That-
is the only time of when it's automatically canceled.
Yes.
But if it was a fee purchase, then it's still under contract.
Yeah, I didn't get the, that deed, to say in all certainty whether this was an eminent domain or, just a regular deed. We need to, okay. Well, regardless of what what we need to do there, I think the bigger picture is that what we're talking about, the Azteca properties parcels need a replacement contract because the original contract boundaries have changed. And so that's, I think, what we're here to discuss.
Did you get it?
Sounds like we need two actions then here. So one needs to be from like an official, an understanding of how it was officially came to the county. And the other one is to notify the owners of the remaining portion of the contract They need to get a replacement contract, right?
I think one way that we could do this is to non-renew the entire original contract, which includes the Azteca parcels. And then have the Azteca parcels come to this committee to get a replacement contract for their land. And that would leave that portion owned by the county in non-renewal, I guess. If it has to be a non-renewal, then we can decide whether it's non-renewal or whether it was automatically taken out.
Well, and I don't know if this is where I haven't been on the committee as long as some other members, but in a case like this where kind of sounds like it was because of a county process that we're here today. So the county either through fee or obtained a portion of the contract. And we're going to figure out more exactly what happened in the future, and maybe at the next meeting or what have you, but we'll find out why and maybe what had happened. But does the owner of the remaining portion now need to take an action? Does the committee automatically put that in a replacement contract?
Madam Chair, but we're also here because the northern portion of the original contract is already being replaced. So this committee already approved a lot line adjustment
Oh,
for the
yes.
northern portion of this
Oh,
contract.
that's right.
So we are already left with a portion that is in non-compliance.
Yes, because they already went through a lot line adjustment process. Okay, so they do need to we need to make a motion to send a notice to appear letter to them.
And the flood control property extends all the way to the Santa Maria River levee. So it might be affecting.
A lot of other
Properties
contracts.
going, yes.
That's what I recall about 10 years ago was there was a lot of, we were talking to them when I was in planning about this.
And just information for the committee, the flood control acquired this by a grant deed in, let me see the date. In December of 1973. And there are multiple deeds for that county property, county-owned property. So this was the one that I could find recorded in book 2494, page 1230.
So this was just a deed. It wasn't intent to condemn or
I could just
condemnation.
find a deed, recorded deed on that date that grants, a grant deed that grants from the owner to the County of Santa Barbara Flood Control and Water Conservation District.
Uh-huh. So then I go back to my suggestion that we non-renew the entire contract, which would include parcel 48, and then have Azteca Properties get if they want to get a replacement contract for their parcel, which is parcel 50. And then we just leave 48 in non-renewal, which is nothing.
So would the letter be similar to the other letters that we send, you're thinking, that just say notice to appear, and we would still state that due to split in ownership, that we suggest you obtain, I'm trying to remember the language, I have one letter in front of me. But just for consistency, it would be that language and
Consistent.
citing that uniform rule where we're saying that it's a split in ownership and you have to obtain see if that, make sure that that parcel can meet the eligibility requirements for a replacement contract. Okay, so same thing.
And I have no doubt that the Azteca property parcel qualifies. I mean, it's completely covered by irrigated crops, so it's just a matter of getting a replacement contract for their portion. I think, are we looking at it, David?
Yeah, so the I think this here in red is the flood control
Right.
portion, the
Yeah.
parcel 48. And then,
You're looking at the northern portion of the contract. So if you scroll up a little more. No,
Other
no,
way.
the other way, sorry. The other up. You will see if you click, yeah,
Right here.
go, put your
Two?
cursor,
Yeah, you're up here.
Yeah. Those are two different.
so click that one.
Yeah, right,
Oh,
right
like
there.
ditch- no, let me- this one?
Yeah, that's parcel 50. That's the one.
Yeah.
That's the Azteca
That's-
parcel. Yeah, that's Azteca. That became 50. It originally was, what did we say? 7 and 9, I think.
Yeah, that's 50 and that
So if you look at the map, the original map, you'll see how the parcels were configured. So there you have it.
This is a different owner. The one above that is different ownership, right? Was that involved in the lot?
That
line
was-
adjustment? That's 5Cs.
5C's Ranch. Correct. They were here last month and they were approved for their replacement contract and a lot line adjustment.
That's,
So that's taken care of as far as
That was taken care of, yeah.
county part.
So that,
48 doesn't involve them, so their replacement contract can go forward. Is that correct?
5C's,
5Cs.
yeah, we approved them last month.
they came in with their.
They came in with a request for replacement, lot line adjustment. I believe if we look at,
I mean, I remember,
The
yeah,
other-
I remember that odd configuration. I remember them coming in, but I didn't remember, I mean, I guess you were aware of the issue with Azteca at
I
that
was-
time, so it wasn't an issue that we had to,
correct,
it wasn't affecting our action on the replacement contract.
right.
Earlier this year,
Yeah. that's
Is it earlier
restoration.
this year? You're right. It wasn't.
so if I understand, Sergio, as far as the assessors is viewing Azteca as 70 AP 22A,
Correct.
and
And B
you're not
was
counting,
5Cs,
and A, you're not including
48.
parcel 48, but technically because of the fee transfer, it's still part of 22A.
Correct.
So for contract 22A, which is the Azteca, and since it's at least it appears to be a multiple owner contract, we would also send notice to county flood control.
I think that's what I'm hearing.
Just just so they're aware of this process. Right. Right. Yeah, I mean, I think our ultimate action would be to non-renew the entirety of this multi-ownership
Yeah.
contract and then request Azteca get a replacement contract.
So would there be two separate letters or one letter sent to both, to two different, like, recipients?
I think it would, well, I mean, it probably could be the same letter, but it needs to describe the ownership kind of situation, sort of like Sergio kind of does when he agendizes this, is that we'd want to have some reference to the history of when county flood control acquired parcel 8
Okay.
or 48, and that created a situation where you have multiple ownership,
Okay.
and therefore we.
So when it comes back in, let's say it comes back in June, would it come back as one item, or would there be two agenda items?
I think it would just be one item because yeah, and then, I mean, I think in the letter, what we would be requesting is the
Yeah.
Azteca ownership apply for, and then I think we could be state that and therefore, or the action to non-renew the entirety of the contract, and that parcel 48, would there be a non-renewal for 9 years? Or
Technically has,
however, yeah, I don't know if we need to explicitly say they don't need to come in and get a replacement contract.
right, yeah.
So I will work with you, CC council, and then at some point, Tyler will look at my draft letter and then, okay, very good.
And Alex, do you mind sending me that information, that deed information? You've already found it, so that would.
Yes, and that might be helpful to put in the letter as an attachment as well if we need that.
Thank you.
Would someone like to make a motion? Already taken public comment.
We do not have any public comment.
So I'd make a motion that request the chair send a 60-day letter to the owners of,
Would this be sorry to stop you, notice to appear letter? That's usually what we do. Yeah, so we'll just say notice to appear as opposed to 60.
but then, so do we have to do the notice of appear and then the 60-day?
Yeah, they're two separate.
Okay. Just want to make sure that, I think that still happens through September 30th. We'd still be able to take action. Because there'd be
Notice to appear doesn't take 60 days, so we could.
Madam Chair, but they already have didn't you send a notice to appear for this meeting? Would that already count? No?
you just placed it on this
I just
agenda.
placed it on the
We just
agenda.
placed it on the agenda?
Yeah.
No letter? Okay.
So, yeah, I will,
I did send them a letter saying that their item was going to be reviewed for ongoing.
Yeah.
yeah, I think you're
But
right. We'll
it's a
just
little
send a
different.
note. Yeah, so the motion will be request the chair send a notice to appear to the owners, multiple owners of contract 70 AP 022A. And agendize that item for consideration of ongoing eligibility and potential contract non-renewal.
Did we say what month we were going to place it on the agenda? We could say place it on
Probably, 'cause
the,
that's just a 30, I mean, so probably the June meeting.
yeah, we could do June.
Yeah, and then place it on the June APEC meeting agenda.
You want to list the two parcels or,
Yes, so that would involve
117?
parcel 117-160-05
Zero.
and parcel 117-160-048.
Yeah, but 50.
050 and 048.
048.
Yes.
Do you have those, Teresa? Okay. Thank you. I second the motion. Any discussion?
We'll do roll call. Sergio Ricardo.
Aye.
Stephanie Stark.
Aye.
David Lackey.
Aye.
Royce Larson.
Aye.
And then Alex.
Aye.
And vote carries 5-0 to continue it to the June 12th meeting.
Okay, very good. Thank you. That's good discussion. I'm glad we're clearing that up. Okay, and so we are on to item number 7, which was the 4 on the agenda. And this is the APAC, our temporary ad hoc subcommittee, and the presentation to the board. Just wanted to inform everyone, I believe we did this through email notification, but the item has been postponed to the Board of Supervisors hearing date of May 20th. And so that is in Santa Barbara. It could get pushed out again, but that's what we have for now. Our the docket deadline is actually at our next meeting, May 8th. So what I was hoping to do is to have at the last meeting before the hearing a pretty much all the language for the board letter is set, but it's still going through the review process. So I also, we may get, it still has to get the final review process. Still have to hear from the CEO's office. And so I'm also thinking maybe we, just in case, set another special meeting. Sorry to do that, but I just was thinking that might be helpful because if it's not done by the time we, if, it's just a lot to put on the May 8th, if we stick with that date, that's the docket deadline. So, and our APAC hearing date. So if there's another special meeting for APAC, we could set up maybe 2 weeks before May 8th. I haven't looked at dates yet, but make it a Thursday. And I don't know what the availability is with this room, but just wanted to mention that way we could review the final PowerPoint, anything that might have been changed by the CEO's office, or there's a couple directors, several directors looking at the PowerPoint as well. So does that sound amenable to the committee?
So the 2 weeks before that would be April 24th is a Thursday. Do you think you would get comments back by then, or do we want to push it back to May 1st, which would be?
Maybe we should do it I don't know how long it would take for the CEO's office for comments. We could do the week before. That might be the safest thing. That would put us at what'd you say, May 1st?
First would be the, Thursday,
Or we could move it earlier in the week. I don't know.
May 2nd, Friday. Yeah, May 1st is, I've got a conflict.
Do you? Okay.
Question on.
Yeah.
This, a meeting we could zoom into, versus having to travel all the way back down.
Yeah. I guess that would be up to the, if other committee members can make.
Another option is like Friday, May 2nd in Ag Commissioner's office, like we did before. Would that work? If this,
Let me take a look at my dates here.
I'm waiting just for the calendar to also,
Sorry, what's that?
waiting for David to send a calendar to see what's available for us.
So the two options are May 1st or May 7th. Is that what I'm hearing?
May 1st or 2nd, I think.
Or 2nd?
Yeah. Um, um,
Either day works for me.
May 1st, I'm only available in the afternoon. May 2nd, I'm available all day.
Same with me.
So I heard May 1st afternoon or May 2nd all day. Sergio?
Yep, that's fine. And we're talking about the commissioner's office on Camino del Remedio, is that? Or, well, not,
That's definitely an option.
yeah, either works.
So for May 1st, the room is only available in the morning. And then Friday, they have S-Bar in here, so I'm not too sure. They reserve it the whole day.
And earlier in the week is just too complicated for folks. 29th, 30th.
I mean, Wednesday might work, 'cause I think Teresa, the planning commission canceled their hearing on April 30th. So that should be available.
That, It just shows it's still reserved.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Tuesday's available and Monday and Tuesday is available.
that's the planning commission hearing day, right? Okay. We could do, I just wonder if we could do Friday the 2nd. Yeah, we could do it at the commissioner's office. I'd say if we can do it in the morning, I'd rather get that done in the morning. Okay.
Shopping,
Oh, you do? What time does that?
go.
Yeah,
Might be.
okay, you want to do 1:30? Oh, you're unavailable. Okay. Yeah, but you're unavailable. Okay, you can do the morning, I see. What about I mean, sorry to throw this out, but the 24th, go back to that. Does that work for anybody? April 24th,
Yeah, no, not in the morning.
25th?
The 29th?
What about 25th, I'm thinking? 24th is out, April 24th. What about April 25th?
I will have NBAR, so.
You can't, you're out and you're out. Okay. So that brings us back to the 20 afternoon. Oh, sorry. I'm sorry. What was the day?
29th.
Or, I mean, yeah, if Royce is okay.
Okay.
going in the morning,
Of Friday morning,
maybe
Second.
do it closer to lunch, maybe Royce's.
May 2nd, 11 to 12. Okay,
Try that.
let's do 11 to 12. May 2nd, Friday, 11 to 12.
So would you send a meeting request? Thank you.
And that would be at the Ag Commissioner's Office, 263 Camino del Remedio. Okay, very good. And so hopefully we'll have actually the board letter set and any comments back about the PowerPoint. We could even run through the PowerPoint. That might be good. And could always move again, like I said, but that's what we have so far. Any other discussion on that item? We haven't met again, just for clarification. Sergio and I have not met again, so. And the content was set. Last time we discussed the content of the PowerPoint, we discussed adding a couple figures different to address. One aspect of was the number of, we're looking at like a kind of a snapshot of what kind of contracts we had been looking at in the past year that had come to the board back in October and the cost of those contracts. That's what we had looked at. Okay. Anything else on this topic?
Just noting, and it's not something that we can take action on, but just, we had previously continued the APAC chair discussion, thinking it was going to occur after the board.
Yes.
hearing. So it'll technically appear on our agenda because it was continued to the May 8th hearing, but we'll
Mm.
likely need to continue that to the June meeting.
Yes, I have the same comment on our, yeah, I was going to discuss at the next item, the agenda projection report. Yep. Okay. Very good. So the next topic I wanted to bring up was the agenda projection report. So that was included in our packet. Thank you, David, for keeping track of these. Wanted to mention, so as David had said, it lists May 8th, but I'm thinking the June meeting would be, because we wanted to wait to discuss the APAC chair discussion until after the Board of Supervisors Williamson Act update or overview, because there may be something that comes out of that meeting gets pulled into the APAC chair discussion. So I would change that on the projection if we could to the June meeting, which is June 12th. And also there are two other, there's three other contracts that, items that we'll be discussing. We can also put on the, projection. So it's Rancheria. Those are, I can send those to you, if you want, or I can tell you what they are now, but they're both called, Rancheria, and one's 69 AP 033, the other one's 68 AP 011. They've received their letters, notice to appear letters. It's something that's brought to the assessor's office, brought to their attention, another split ownership issue. And so we'll have those come to our, I think it's a June meeting. Let me double check on that.
Excuse me, Madam Chair, just to clarify, not really an split ownership, because this was actually a legal condemnation, so there's really nothing to discuss about the split. Because that portion that was condemned is automatically taken out of contract. But the issue is just ongoing eligibility, because by having that portion taken out, one of the contracts became prime, versus it used to be non-prime. And so now we have to look at the prime ongoing eligibility requirements.
Excuse me, is this that one that was at the junction of 154?
Correct.
That we kind of had stumbled across?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Sergio. I'm sorry about that confusion. Yeah, and it is scheduled for May 8th. So if you could put those down. And then the other one is the one that we mentioned earlier on in our beginning of our meeting about just over there. That is also is a notice to appear letter that was sent, but I'm sending it again today, but that's okay. That will should appear on the May 8th agenda. And I'll get you, I don't think, Teresa, I've given you the Rancheria agenda descriptors yet, so I'll provide those to you. Okay, that's all I have for the, oh, sorry, agenda projection. Anything else?
I was just going to bring up. Just bringing up the projection report. Maybe Teresa, if you could share my screen, or I shared my screen, just bring it up.
Oh, it is sharing. Is it not there?
There, thank you. Okay, so I did add Rancheria and
You need the contract numbers?
I got the contract.
Okay.
numbers. What was the one after that you mentioned?
They're both Rancheria. There's
Yeah.
two of those. Okay, just over there. Let me get you that contract number here in just a moment. And I'm putting them all, when I send them, I just put them all in the box. Once I send them out, because then they can have that certification on there of, that it was sent certified mail. And then once I receive, hopefully, I get back this signature card, the green one, I'll scan that as well and I attach it. Let's see here.
Okay, I have it. It is contract 74-AP-034 B as in boy, but that B is an unofficial designation by the assessor.
Okay, and that'll be on the June 12th as well.
No, that's coming up in May.
Oh, May.
Mhm. And the I don't have anything other input for the agenda projection unless anyone else does. Okay. Also, another item, just wanted to mention that today is the Central Coast Ag Land Use Roundtable meeting. And this is a group, if you guys recall, we meet, I think it's every quarter, or is it every 6 months? It's quarterly. And there are, it's like today it's from 2 to 4. It's a virtual meeting. This is usually San Luis Obispo, Monterey, Santa Barbara, Ventura, sometimes San Benito, but it's the Central Coast, and they address different land use issues, and many times there's ag preserve or Williamson Act items up for discussion. And the one that I put on there, and David and I worked together on this to get it on the agenda, it's just to get some input on compliance, outreach, and education to see what other counties are doing. Yep.
And then just one other report, kind of related. So I'll be attending, it's called the California Agritourism Summit. It's going to be in Carlsbad and Escondido, May 13th to 15th. And so I'll be speaking on our recently adopted agriculture enterprise ordinance and providing information on what the board adopted. And so I can report back on other ag tourism related things that I learn at the conference.
Are we in committee reports? I do have an update.
Yes, we're there right now.
Oh, okay. I think David rolled into that. I do have an update regarding the chair responsibilities and our department's availability. I discussed, as I promised, with the department director, and he is not willing to commit that position and time from our department.
Okay, thank you for the update.
All right. And he also offered, the director offered, if he needs to appear in similar fashion as assessor's office presented, he is willing to come on and explain.
Okay. And we will be bringing this back to the committee officially on the agenda at the June meeting. So,
Okay.
okay. Thank you. Any other committee reports or?
Kind of a question on
Mm.
looking into the future. I don't know how much longer I'm going to be here before I retire, but I want to bring this up. It's a question of UC Cooperative Extension on this committee. And as I've understood it, it's someone with a range background. When I'm gone with the current hiring freeze we just got, it could be 2 or 3 or 4 years before we get a new range person. So the question would be, can we just have someone from extension, or do you really want someone with range background? We are supposedly hiring a new disaster resilience advisor. 0 range experience though. And then we have one other advisor left in our office, Chris Greer, and then there's nobody else. We are really hitting rock bottom. And I don't know what they're gonna do, if there's an emergency way to get somebody new again or not, but there's a potential big gap there. So I just don't know what the committee wants to do or how you want to handle that.
I may offer a suggestion, is maybe a letter addressed to the Board of Supervisors, because ultimately, don't they have authority to maybe appoint committee members? I don't know how, we've looked at the history of how the committee was formed many years ago. I think Maria, County Council, provided that. And there's been changes, but I think ultimately it comes down to the Board of Supervisors, I think. So what I want to suggest is maybe a letter addressing this concern. I don't know if it should come from maybe you, Royce, just saying exactly what you just told us, that there's a possibility that there won't be a member from the UC um, from your department, and then let them maybe decide what they want to do with your position, with your membership to this committee. I don't know. It's just a suggestion.
Yeah, thank you for that. I think one step we could take, I was kind of wondering about that myself, but maybe Shannon, she's the UC Cooperative Extension Director she oversees it for this region. And she and Jose Chang, our commissioner, have a relationship, and there's a connection there with our offices. So that's something that I could talk with our director about. And then he can communicate with the UC, because she would ultimately be the person who would appoint the person who'd be on this committee. And I think at this point, going to the Board of Supervisors would be premature, just because it's a role there. If Shannon would decide like she no longer wants to do it, then that would be I haven't heard that, and that would be another level of, like, that might be
Okay.
something to,
Correct. I didn't.
yeah. So I think that's what my thoughts were.
Yeah, and I think my thoughts are kind of similar to Stephanie's, is that while I think historically we have had a range person, I think we would welcome any input on agricultural uses from any representative from UC Extent or from Cooperative Extension. But yeah, if it was a different issue that, that the director at some point didn't feel that they could maintain representation, then that would be a discussion with the board, because that's an explicitly defined membership for the committee.
And there is a person I have in mind, so I'll see if that's viable.
Okay. An assessor report. As of April 2nd, the response rate to the annual questionnaires was at 62%. Just to give you context, last year's response rate was 64. So by April 2nd, I'm optimistic that we're going to beat last year's response rate. We still have, we get a little rush after the income tax, April 15th. So hopefully we'll get another rush of responses from CPS that I will be reporting after tax day. That's one. The other is there were no recorded ag preserve documents in the month of March. Nothing to report there. Thank you.
Thank you, Sergio. Any other reports from committee members? Hearing none, I adjourn the meeting at 10:35 a.m. Thank you very much.